Hey guys, and welcome back to another PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds guide, where today we'll cover everything about the blue circle, including the number of circles and their distances, circle and player speeds relative to the circle position, circle damage and survival times, fighting from within the circle, and finally, circle strategy / endgame. First, I just wanted to let you know that if you ride the plane all the way to the end of the line, after it kicks you out, you have exactly 68 seconds until the first circle appears. Now there are 8 circles, each being roughly 50% of the diameter of the previous circle, as you can see in the video. The times listed on the right are actually the time it takes for that circle to close in from start to finish, which are not listed in game. The time it takes the circle to close in is much more important to us than the timer given in game, which is just how long you have until the next circle starts to move. In this next section, I'll be referring to the fast side of the circle, which would be if the next circle tangentially touches the previous circle and would be moving in from one side, and the slow side of the circle, which would be if the next circle spawns directly in the middle of the previous circle and moves in equally from each side. Most circles will fall somewhere in between these two, but I wanted to give you a reference as to what the max speed could be depending on where you are. Now, if you recall that the player run speed is roughly 6 meters per second unarmed. Using the previous data, if you subtract and get the difference in the diameter from one circle to the next, and divide that by how long it will take the next circle to move in, you can calculate what the maximum speed the circle will be traveling in from the furthest point on that fast side. Dividing that value by 2 will give you the speed at which the circle will move in on the slow side, aka if the next circle is moving in evenly on both sides directly to the center. This is important because, as you can see from the table, depending on where you are on the 5th circle and roughly anywhere on the 6th circle and beyond, you will be able to outrun the circle and should be focusing much more on spotting your enemy and getting the best position as opposed to the circle catching up with you. Granted, many times it's possible to find a vehicle to travel to the next circle, but especially as the circle gets smaller, you don't always want to bring the added attention of driving a vehicle, so it's good to know when you're able to just run it in and keep some stealth. Often you may find yourself on the wrong side of the blue circle, and it's important to manage your health in these situations, especially after a few circles have gone by. Here I'll be showing you the lowest your health can be before you need to use a first aid kit for each circle, since they are a very common form of healing usually. In addition, I've listed how long you'll be able to survive outside the circle starting at full health if you didn't heal at all for a reference. As you can see, starting on circle 5, the 3% damage of the circle will begin to hurt very quickly, and you'll only have 34 seconds until you die. The last 4 circles are not meant to be ran through for long periods of time, and should really only be entered if you either need to get some close by loot or quickly gain position on your enemy. As you can see with circle 8, it is not possible to use a first aid in time before the circle kills you, as you need to wait until your health is low enough to trigger using a first aid. The only way to heal through the last circle is to deliberately take a tick of damage and begin using a full medkit before the circle starts to touch you. Don't forget to grab your chicken on the way out. Another common strategy is to deliberately sit in the blue, not too far from the circle, and catch people who are running past to get in. People running by do not have the luxury of clearing buildings before they move, since they are actively taking damage, and many of the cautions they usually take will go out the window. Many people within the circle put their backs to the blue and do not expect someone to be coming from behind, as there are usually enough threats within the play zone to worry about. Keep this in mind both for your own strategy and your own defense in the early to mid game. My 2 biggest tips for the last circle are to get the high ground if possible, and make the first move. Having the high ground will almost always give you some sort of advantage, as you don't have to expose yourself as much in order to shoot. Regardless of how you normally play the game up to this point, there are only a few people left at the last circle, and getting the first shot on your enemy will almost always result in the win. Don't be afraid to hunt your enemy at the end so that you can be victorious. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe for more. See you guys next time.